How to beat 0 evidence with 0 sanity on Willow Streethouse. Let's go! Step 1. Equipment. Make sure all of your equipment is at tier 3, except for the crucifix and the headgear. I will explain why later. Step 2. Grab a lighter, an incense, a thermometer, and salt. Step 3. Now you are ready to enter the house, so get inside and we can now start testing for the ghost types. The first test will be for all ghosts who have a different movement speed than normal during hunts. On screen, there will be a list of all ghosts who fit in this category. In the description, there will be a link to a cheat sheet that will help you understand various ghost mechanics, such as speed differences or other behaviours. I strongly recommend checking it out. For the best results with any hunt related test, I recommend looping either the car in the garage or garage for other people, or the table in the kitchen while crouching. Alright, now let me explain why I said to get the tier 2 headgear instead of tier 3. During hunts, the ghost will massively distort your vision when near you if you're wearing night vision goggles, essentially making you blind. With the tier 2 gear, you instead have a flashlight, which isn't affected as much when near the ghost. For the blink ghosts, these are ghosts that have a visual tell during hunts. Phantoms will blink less frequently, making them harder to see. Onis will blink more frequently, making them easier to see. Oni blinks can also be easy to miss, however. You can use the cheat sheet to learn the blink frequencies of both of these ghosts. As for Obakis, they have a normal blink frequency, but on predetermined intervals they will appear as a different ghost model for one single blink. You can use the cheat sheet again to learn more about this. Next up is the Wraith and the Mimic. For the Wraith, you should have already placed salt down at your designated looping spot when checking for speed ghosts. After the ghost has walked through and the hunt ends, check to see if the salt pile has been disturbed or not. If it has been disturbed, it's not a Wraith. If it hasn't been disturbed, then it's a Wraith. As for the Mimic, you should check for this ghost after you rule out the other ghosts that I've already mentioned. To check for a Mimic, identify the ghost room with a thermometer. If the room has ghost orbs, then it's a Mimic, otherwise it is not a Mimic. Make sure to monitor every hunt's ghost behaviour for any changes, since a Mimic can change ghost types every once in a while. That is something to keep note of. Spirits and demons have one thing in common: they have different incense timers than a normal ghost. For a normal ghost, incensing them either during a hunt or when near them outside of a hunt will prevent future hunts for 90 seconds. For demons, this duration is lowered to 60 seconds. For spirits, this duration is increased to 180 seconds. The timer starts the very second the ghost is within range of an active incense. For hunts, this rule is also the same. As soon as you stun the ghost during the hunt, the timer starts, not when the hunt ends. It starts the second you stun the ghost. If the ghost hunts before 90 seconds are up, it's a demon. If the ghost doesn't hunt until after 180 seconds, it's likely a spirit, but do be warned that sometimes ghosts can choose to not hunt for extended periods of time. To ensure you get spirit correctly, ensure you use all of your incense and the ghost doesn't hunt for 180 seconds every time. Also make sure that you do not light the ghost room with candles, since candles prevent on-rails from hunting, thus messing with your spirit test. Also do not be near the ghost, since being in the same room as a shade will also prevent hunts. If the ghost ever hunts before 180 seconds, rule out spirit. For these ghosts, you'll be passively looking out for them while testing for many of the ghosts I mentioned earlier. For Poltergeist, set up a bunch of items on the kitchen table and loop it a few times to see how much is thrown. The cheat sheet will show you the difference between Poltergeist throws and normal throws. Alternatively, you could also check for the infamous Poltergeist explosion, where several items in a pile all get thrown at the same time during a normal, outside of hunt interaction. For Banshees, you should be passively holding the parabolic microphone throughout most of the game in order to listen for the unique Banshee screaming sound. If the ghost's favourite room ever changes, you can rule out Banshee. For Yokai, go to a place during a hunt where the ghost cannot see you, preferably in the garage so you're ready to loop. Once in position, turn on your flashlight when the ghost is nearby, and see if it comes towards you. If it does, it's probably not a yokai since it detected the noise. If it doesn't come towards you, it probably is a yokai since they don't hear any source of noise until they're practically in your face. They can also easily lose you on loops that block line of sight, such as the car, even with your flashlight on, which, with normal ghosts, they would still go after you just fine because you have the flashlight on. So that is another thing to take note of. For Mylings, their footsteps go quiet at a much shorter distance. On Willow, hunting ghosts can almost always be heard when standing near the door that leads to the basement. If you hear nothing when standing there, it's possibly a Myling. For more consistent results, however, sit in the garage with a handheld flashlight on the floor and make sure you are sitting directly on top of it. If the ghost consistently is only heard when the flashlight begins to flicker and not when outside of the flickering, it's probably a Myling. If you hear ghost footsteps during a hunt when the flashlight is not flickering, rule out Myling. You saw the title. These are the most annoying ghosts to test for, starting with the Mare. This ghost only has one way to confirm it on 0 sanity. Light switches! When you turn on a light switch, a Mare has a chance to immediately turn it off. You can bait this ability every 10 seconds. This also works even when the power is off or the light in the room is broken. Do not confuse this with ghost events or crucifix uses, however, as they cause lights to turn off. For consistency, try to get the Mare ability to trigger at least 2 to 3 times before guessing Mare as your ghost. On a side note, Mares seem to love avoiding lit rooms like the plague, often moving to the opposite side of the house just to find an unlit room, often changing the favourite room over there too. Do keep a note of that behaviour as it could help you make an educated guess in the case that your Mare doesn't want to do the ability, which happens a lot, by the way. Good luck finding out Mares, they suck. Next up is the Shade. Although an annoying ghost, they can be pretty quick to call out. If you go for extended periods of time in the ghost room with no hunts and no interactions of any kind, it's probably a Shade. If the ghost ever begins a hunt or interacts with something while in the same room as you, rule out Shade. Next up is the Yuri. This ghost is either very easy or very hard. It's all down to luck with this one. When near the ghost, the Yuri has a chance to quickly slam all nearby doors shut, closing them fully. Ghost events can also cause this effect, so do make sure you know it wasn't a ghost event before you guess Yuri off of this. On a side note, Yuris are also the only ghost that can interact with the exit door outside of a ghost event, so do take note of that. The last ghost for this category, and the one I actually ended up getting in the background gameplay in the video, is the Onryo. Onryos will not hunt when in 4 meters of a lit fire source such as your firelights, being forced to blow them out first. Tier 2 crucifixes prevent hunts within a 4 meter radius as well, meaning if you place crucifixes directly on top of your firelights, Onryos have to blow out the firelights first before they can use up your crucifixes. So, if your crucifix triggers and the firelight on top of it is still lit, you can rule out Onryo. If you go for minutes without hunts after confirming it's not a Shade, and the ghost room is filled with lit firelights, it's probably an on-rail. On a side note, on-rails are much more aggressive towards firelights than any other ghost, blowing them out very frequently, so you will have to relight them quite often.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Ah yes, the Goryo. Everyone's favourite ghost. You know the drill with this guy. There is no confirmation test. There is only pain. You figure out this ghost by ruling out every other ghost. The only time you don't need to worry about a Goryo is if the ghost room changes its favourite room at least once, since Goryos cannot do that. Similar to Banshees. If it doesn't change its favourite room, you are screwed. You will have to thoroughly test for every other ghost before finally settling on guessing Goryo. Anyway, fuck this ghost. This is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed the guide. Goodbye.